Think about the last time you called a company for help. You waited, maybe a long time. You listened to hold music that felt designed to break your spirit. And then finally, a human voice came on the line. And maybe, just maybe, they actually helped you. That moment of human connection, that tiny victory after the automated menus and the transfers, and the your call is important to us. It mattered. It felt real. Now imagine that moment is disappearing, not slowly, not gradually, right now, faster than most people realize, because something is happening inside the world's biggest companies that most of us haven't fully absorbed yet. Something that is quietly, efficiently, and permanently reshaping one of the largest job categories on the planet. Customer service is dying. And AI is the reason why. Here's a number that should stop you cold. Roughly 17 million people in the United States alone work in customer service roles. In Europe, that number is estimated at over 20 million. In Australia, it's around 1.5 million. Together, that's tens of millions of jobs that could be transformed by AI over the coming decade. Call center agents, help desk operators, support specialists, people who spend their days answering questions, solving problems, and navigating the messy, complicated territory between what a company promises and what a customer actually receives. That's roughly 38 million people. And right now, companies are replacing them, not all at once, not in a dramatic announcement, but steadily, quietly, one contract at a time. Think about that. This isn't a factory job being automated away by a robot arm. This is a conversation job, a human job, the kind of job people always said machines could never do because machines can't listen, can't empathize, can't understand that someone calling about a billing error might actually be calling because they're terrified and don't know where else to turn. Except now, it turns out they can, or at least they can do it well enough. And in the business world, well enough is often more than enough. Here's the strange part. This didn't sneak up on us. The signs were there for years. Those infuriating phone menus, press one for billing, press two for technical support. That was the beginning. Companies were already trying to divert your call to resolve your issue without using a human being. But those systems were terrible, rigid, brittle. They could only handle exactly what they were programmed to expect. And the moment you said something unexpected, the whole thing collapsed. So we got used to it. We learned the tricks. We pressed zero. We said agent louder and louder into the phone. We treated the automated system like an obstacle between us and the real help. And then around 2022, something changed. AI got very, very good at understanding language, not in the clunky keyword matching way of the old systems, in a genuinely conversational way. You could explain a complicated problem with context and nuance and emotion, and the AI could follow it. It could respond, it could ask the right follow up question. For companies that had been searching for decades for a way to reduce their customer service costs, this was a revelation. Suddenly, the dream was possible. A customer service agent that never sleeps, never calls in sick, never has a bad day, never needs a pay rise, never goes on strike, and handles 1,000 conversations simultaneously. You might be wondering, but is it actually good? Do customers actually prefer talking to an AI? Here's the honest answer. Sometimes, yes. If your question is simple, where's my order? Can I change my address? What's my account balance? An AI can answer faster than any human. No hold time, no transfers, instant resolution. And in those moments, most people don't care whether there's a human on the other end. They just want the answer. But the moment something goes wrong, really wrong, that's where it gets complicated. Imagine you're disputing a charge on your account, or your flight was canceled and you're stranded, or a product you ordered for someone's birthday arrived broken 2 days after the birthday. In those moments, you're not just looking for information, you're looking for acknowledgement. You want someone to understand that this matters to you, that your frustration is valid, that the company you trusted let you down, and AI is getting surprisingly good at simulating that too. A certain company whose names I won't be mentioning, the buy now, pay later types, announced that their AI assistant was handling the work of 700 human agents, resolving customer issues in under 2 minutes, reaching customer satisfaction scores comparable to their human team. That's not a prototype. That's operational. That's now. But here's what the press releases don't tell you. For every successful AI interaction, there are others that go wrong in ways that feel uniquely, frustratingly inhuman. The AI that apologizes in perfectly calibrated language, but doesn't actually fix the problem. The chatbot that loops you back to the same answer no matter how many different ways you ask the question. The automated system that tells you it understands your frustration over and over while doing absolutely nothing about it. And perhaps worst of all, the AI that doesn't know when to stop and say, I can't help you with this. Let me find someone who can. Because here's the thing about human customer service agents that we often forget when we're on hold: fuming. They had judgment. They knew when a situation needed escalation. They could read the situation. They could tell the difference between a customer who was mildly annoyed and one who was genuinely in crisis. They could bend the rules in the right moment because they understood why the rules existed in the first place. That judgment, that contextual, human, messy judgment, is what's hardest to replace. And right now, most AI systems aren't built to admit what they can't do. So, what does this mean for the people whose jobs are disappearing? This is the part of the story that doesn't make the press releases. The 38 million customer service workers aren't just statistics, they're often the people who had the fewest options to begin with. Customer service has historically been an entry point, a way into the workforce, a stepping stone to something else, a job that didn't require a degree or years of experience. It's a role that, in many places, has provided stable income to people who needed it most. And now those jobs are being eliminated faster than new ones are being created to replace them. The standard response from the technology industry is that new jobs will emerge, that AI will create roles that don't yet exist, that workers will upskill, retrain, adapt. Maybe. Historically, that's been true of previous waves of automation, but there's something different this time. Customer service wasn't automated by a machine that could only do one physical thing faster than a human. It's being automated by a system that can think, converse, problem solve, and adapt. The same underlying technology that replaced the call center agent can also replace the data entry worker, the paralegal, the junior analyst. The question isn't whether new jobs will exist somewhere. The question is whether the people losing jobs now can reach those jobs in time. Here's something most people haven't considered: customer service wasn't just a job category, it was a feedback loop. When you called a company and spoke to a human agent, something invisible happened. The agent heard your frustration, they passed it up the chain, they filed tickets, they flagged recurring complaints. They were, in a very real sense, the company's early warning system, the people closest to customers, absorbing the signal that something had gone wrong and making sure it reached someone who could fix it. What happens when that layer disappears? What happens when the AI resolves your complaint quickly, efficiently, and the fact that 50,000 other customers had the exact same complaint never becomes visible to anyone who could change the product? Customer service was always more than complaint resolution. It was intelligence gathering. It was relationship maintenance. It was the place where the gap between what a company intended and what customers actually experienced became visible. And we're about to find out what happens when that gap goes dark. So, where does this leave us? Here's where I think we actually are. AI isn't going to replace all customer service, not completely, not for everything. There will always be situations where a human being is not just preferable, but necessary. Complex disputes, medical issues, financial emergencies, moments where someone needs to be heard, not just processed. But the simple interactions, the ones that make up the vast majority of customer service volume, those are already going or gone. What's left will be different, more specialized, fewer people handling more complex, more emotionally charged situations without the buffer of the simpler calls to space things out, without the career ladder that used to allow someone to start simple and grow into something more. That's not a future we're building toward. That's a present we're already living in. Think back to that last call you made, the hold music, the wait, the moment when a human voice finally came on. You probably didn't think about what that person's life was like outside of that call, whether they'd been sitting at that desk for 8 hours, whether they were tired, whether they had their own frustrations that they were setting aside to deal with yours. You just needed help, and they gave it. That transaction, imperfect, human, occasionally maddening, was built on something we rarely acknowledged. It was built on the idea that when something goes wrong, you deserve to be heard by another person, that your problem matters enough to take up a fraction of someone's day, that the relationship between you and the company is worth a human moment. We're trading that idea for speed, for efficiency, for a chatbot that responds in under 2 minutes and scores just as well on satisfaction surveys. Maybe that's fine. Maybe in a few years, the AI will be so good that we won't miss the human at all. Or maybe we'll wake up one day in the middle of some genuine crisis and realize we've quietly dismantled something we didn't know we needed, and there will be no one to call.